absolutely devastating. This is bullshit. The whole season's over.
Let's blow it up. Time to trade off some pieces.
Everyone, we're done. Rebuild.
You can have Aaron Judge. You can take Gary Sanchez.
Take Andujar, we'll get Hader, figure it out.
In the big inning, there was baseball. We are back once again with a new episode. I am being joined by Evan. How are you doing, Evan?
I'm doing great. What's up?
Not much. We're also being joined by Marcus. How are we doing, Marcus?
Terrific. Thank you for having me on here.
Sure. Thank you for being
Welcome,
on.
buddy.
Evan seems to have forgotten his line.
I waited for you to do your. This is 27 down. Perfect podcast for the perfect game.
Thank you, Evan. I just like to trigger you. Marcus, tell us about yourself, Marcus.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm currently in Israel. I am working at a school in the north, in a city called Sfat. It's currently 1:15 in the morning here. It's kind of that's what time zones will do to you. But yeah. I'm loving it here. I'm trying to keep up with the Yankees, and so far so good.
Now, where can people find you on Twitter?
My Twitter handle is _Marcus Guy. It's spelled as it is pronounced, MarcusGuy. And I am very active on Twitter, thank God. And as well, I know Evan's very active. And give me a call, hit me up.
And everyone knows I am not very active.
I was going to say you, but...
But either way, you can follow me as well at CJ and Pinstripes, and you can follow Evan at one of his Evan D. Wetzel accounts. I think this is Evan D. Wetzel 4.
That is correct.
Hey, I finally remembered it. So it's funny that we're recording today. We actually have some fresh news from last night. Am I going to be the only one to talk about it? Evan, go for it, man.
Yeah, we talked about it before you got on here, but we obviously Mookie Betts is traded to the Dodgers with David Price for Verdugo, and I'm not sure what the second pitcher they got from the Twins. I don't know his name.
I just call him Barstool. It's something like that.
Right. I think he's on the top 100 prospects. I think he's like 84 or something.
Interesting. Okay, so obviously the biggest thing about this is the Red Sox figured they wouldn't be able to pay this guy, or I don't know if that's really the problem. I think they can pay him. I think their issue is they really wanted to get under the salary, under the luxury tax. So, I mean, they could very well still end up signing him in free agency. It's just, wow, what a shocker. I mean, we had heard word, but it's still one of those things like you just can't believe it, that a team that has won the World Series so recently is now shipping off their best player.
The MVP. I mean, he won MVP 2 years ago.
Yeah, yep.
I mean, the whole downfall from when they did win the World Series, they fired the GM, they fired the coach, and now they get rid of their best players. So it's pretty drastic right now in Boston.
But I think it's a stereotypical Dave Dombrowski trend where, he comes, signs everybody to big contracts, then he can't pay everyone else, and he just gets fired. But they win, and I think that's what he was brought there to do. You can't say he failed because he won a World Series. I don't think you can consider that a failure. But at this point, I think they're a little bit lost.
Yeah, I mean, I would not sell our soul to the devil to win one World Series when we have a chance to win 3 with the team we have now.
It's an excellent point. However, I'm just playing devil's advocate here because last night, obviously Yankee fans just laugh when this kind of stuff happens to the Red Sox. And Marcus, you're 100% right. This has Dave Dombrowski written all over it. But you got to wonder, does this set up the Red Sox to be better in the future? They probably weren't going to go. I mean, they still don't have a manager. They don't even have a manager, and we're a few weeks away from spring training. So you got to wonder, is this a move that's actually kind of smart? You save some money. You lose Mookie for now. Who's to say he's not going to just come back?
I'm very concerned about that. I think it's very possible. I think he loves Boston. I don't see any reason for him to, leave his legacy behind. I honestly, I know we're comparing it to the Roldis Chapman-Gleyber Torres trade, where the Yankees lost Chapman for half a season and acquired a future All-Star or present All-Star, Gleyber Torres. It's not quite the same return. I think Torres is going to be better than either of those guys that the Red Sox acquired. But it is a big concern as a Yankee fan because they just, they got rid of half of Price's contract, half price. And then you got Betts. Yeah, you see what I did there, Evan. And then they're going to if they re-sign Betts, which is very possible, they are really set. That offense is still very potent. They got a top 10 third baseman, a top 10 shortstop, and a top 10 DH, top 5 DH. That team is they've got some real offensive weapons there.
Yeah, Evan and I always we always talk about how the actual Red Sox talent is probably somewhere in between 2018 and 2019. Like, they are obviously not a consistent 108-win team. They're obviously not somewhere down near 90. They're probably somewhere in the middle. How does this change now without Mookie Betts? Where does this put them?
Well, I'm sorry, you want to go on, Evan?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't think it changes that much. Obviously, they're losing one of the best players in baseball, but they got a solid prospect in Verdugo back, and he's major league ready. So that might bridge the gap till when they do re-sign him, because you're right. I do think that is something we should be worried about.
And personally, I think that, they're going to have Sale back for a full season. Betts, while not great by his standards, did have a very good season. I think he was top 10 in WAR this past season, but that is quote unquote replaceable. And Devers is going to have another season in the MLB, probably more experience. That team, if their starting pitching could figure itself out, they have the potential to go deep. And as a Yankee fan, we should be concerned. Even this year, I think that they have the potential to really do some damage.
So, Marcus, you still think that the Red Sox are potentially maybe a threat to the Yankees winning the division?
Potentially. What happened in 2018 was that they had a magical run, and you can't bet against magic. The point is that their talent right now isn't that, besides for Betts, isn't that much less than what they had in 2018, and they just somehow found a way to make it work. So if they find that magic, then yeah, it could happen. But I think it all comes down to their starting pitching, because last year their offense was very good. Vasquez had an incredible year for a catcher. JD Martinez had a very good year for DH. It comes down to the starting pitching. If they could pitch well, then that team is a legit threat. I really believe that, and I think they're right up there with the Rays for the second spot in the division.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I still think the Red Sox would be no worse than second place. You're right. It's still an awesome team everywhere else. A lot of teams are built to have that.
They also still have Andrew Benintendi, who could at any point, become something more special.
Yeah, he's only underproduced. He could only get better, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, that was fun. That was no, but this has been a fun off season if you're not a fan of the Red Sox.
If you're a Yankee fan, the Astros, the Mets, everything.
Yeah. I mean, it's been. This is
my doorbell just rang. I got to get a package. Hold on.
Oh, sure. Yeah, Evan's hooker is here. So what did you order? What has come? What is it? Evan's gonna open his package on the air, everyone. Let's see what he got.
It's not for me. It's for my wife.
Open the package on the air.
I'm not opening her mail. God damn it! Why are you talking to me? Talk to Marcus.
Oh right, yeah, we have a podcast to do. My bad.
Sorry.
No, you're good. It's just been such an eventful off season. I mean, this is nothing like what happened the last 2 years.
And the last 2 years, besides for the two marquee free agents in Harper and Machado, there really wasn't a lot going on. Besides for the big scandal, there's been big signings, there's been historic signings, there's been trades. It's been a very exciting offseason. for the Yankees, and honestly for for Yankee fan, and honestly until today, the offseason was going as perfectly as possible until the news about Paxton came out. But the offseason was terrific for the Yankees.
Yeah, and even that news is like, he's missing like 3 months, so he's probably going
It's
to actually.
devastating. It's
Yeah.
absolutely devastating. This is bullshit. The whole season's over.
Let's blow it up. Time to trade off some pieces.
Everyone, we're done. Rebuild.
You can have Aaron Judge. You can take Gary Sanchez.
Take Andujar, we'll get Hader, figure it out.
I would do that trade.
Yeah, well, I don't
Marcus,
think
Marcus, where are you? Oh man, this is great. Last time we did an episode, Evan and I
knew you were going to do this.
Evan and I had a little bit of a heated discussion on this. You have two options. Which of these do you want to take? Are you going to, now that Andujar is healthy, put him back out there at third base? Or do you think it's better to put him in the minor leagues for a little bit and let Gio continue where he left off?
Well, I think that one of the two third basemen is going to be the future. One of Andujar or Urshela, and the Yankees have to figure out who they want to go with. If Urshela performs offensively as he did in 2019, then there's not really a question. Andujar is gone. I do think that, I think you keep him in the majors. I think you DH him a bunch, and you show him that he's got value. The problem right now for Andujar and the Yankees is that his value, I think, on the trade market is not as high as it should be. Because he's coming off of an injury and his defensive liabilities, I don't think that you're going to get what you should be getting for him. So if he could put together a full season of playing, let's say, 30 games at third base, and then DHing 100 games, plays 130 games, hits 300 and hits, 30 homers, I think that's great trade value, and you could trade that. Right now, I think his value is not where it should be and not where it could be. So I think you leave him in the majors, you have him DH, you try to put Stanton in left for as long as possible, and you try to show off what he's got.
So what do you think about the talk of the Yankees trying him out at other positions?
Well, I think we were talking about this before. I think changing positions, if there's anyone that should try to change a position, I think it should be Stanton to first base, but it's not such an easy switch. Andujar's main problem was he couldn't throw very well. He was throwing wide, he was throwing high. So obviously first base would solve some of that. But honest question, is Andujar that much better than Luke Voit at first base offensively? I don't know if he is. Luke Voit is a 380 on base percentage kind of guy with a better glove than presumably Andujar would have at first base. So I don't really know how much of a benefit there is to trying to switch him over to first base from third.
That's a good point. And I like the idea of Stanton to first. You see it happen a lot with those larger corner outfielders. They just tend to come into first. I mean, Pujols used to play outfield. Ryan Dunn used to be in the outfield when he was really, really young. So it's something you see pretty often.
And, even younger guys now, because of the depth or lack thereof of first base in the past couple of years, right now it's actually pretty deep. But a player like Joey Gallo will play the first base and will play the outfield. It happens. And Stanton, just if he could show that he could stay healthy at first base, I think that would really help his tenure with the Yankees.
Indeed. I feel like we're leaving Evan out of this. Evan, do you want to ask any questions?
Marcus
Do you have anything?
doing a great job. I'm just kind of listening and taking it in. He made some solid points. I agree with most of it, to be honest.
Thank you very much. Look, the thing is, you have to be careful when the outfield first base switch. You see Bellinger plays both, but he's got injured there, and the Dodgers don't want to play him at first anymore. So you do have to be careful, especially with Stanton's injury history. You do want to be careful when you switch him over at a position.
True. Now, what about this news? Have you heard what has happened with Pete Rose?
I did. I didn't look into it too much. I think his lawyer filed something to the Hall of Fame.
Well, Pete Rose in general is basically just making a campaign for himself to get into the Hall of Fame, lift his lifetime ban. And his argument, it's really funny because Evan and I mentioned this last time we had a show. It's like, oh, cool. So the people who actually actively cheated to get their championship, they're suspended for a year. But this guy who bet on baseball is banned for life. And this is what he's trying to leverage. He's trying to say, well, what sense does that make? Why shouldn't I be in? What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's interesting because I think gambling is going to become legal soon in sports. And once that happens, of course, he went against what the rules were at the time. But you can't keep him out of the Hall of Fame if that's the case. That all-time hits leaders, you're going to keep him out of the Hall of Fame. I don't think that's definitely not going to work. So by the time that gambling becomes legal in sports, he's definitely going to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm sorry?
No, I was just going to say, yeah, you're right about that part. And that's something I actually hadn't thought about, is that I've always thought that Pete Rose got what was coming to him, that he broke rules. And at the time where, look, it was posted in every clubhouse, like, you bet on this sport, you are out. Goodbye. And that's the risk that he took. But yeah, you're right in that the rules in general, societal rules are changing, and you have to kind of make a decision. Do you want to hold him to the same standard that was back then, or are you willing to allow your punishments to evolve along with what punishments have evolved into now?
If they're going to allow Altuve and those butt turds in Houston cheat and get away with it and give them immunity just because they were honest about it, I think it's absolutely ridiculous that after, 40 years of being in jail, they're not going to let Pete Rose get in the Hall of Fame. It's ridiculous.
That's also assuming the Astros were honest about it. I don't know if they were.
I don't think they were. I think they said what they needed to say to do what happened, and it's ridiculous that that's where we're at right now.
100%. And look, I think Pete Rose, the all-time home run leader, the all-time home run leader, the all-time hits leader, they're both not in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Now, if you're going to say that steroids, okay, look, it actually impacted your performance on the field. You're cheating. Other people are not necessarily cheating. Pitchers, other hitters. You're impacting where they ranked at their time. I really think that steroids is different. But his performance was his performance. He's an all-time great. He's probably the top 10 player of all time. He played multiple positions. He was a player manager. He was a revolutionary player. And on the field, he did everything right. He was Charlie Hustle. I think that there's the old-time guys, first of all, the players he played with, I think are very against him getting in because of, the cheating. I think they feel that he tampered with the sacredness of the game. Sacredity, I'm not sure what's the word there. But that those players that he played with, I think they have a problem with it more than anyone. But the new folks that are in charge of, the Hall of Fame, I think they don't care. I think if it came to vote today, I think Pete Rose would be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, for sure. I definitely think he would.
I mean, the reason I don't think steroids is as bad as what the Astros did is, one, with steroids, you still have to have the ability to do it. You don't know what pitch is coming. You need to strategize, know what pitch is coming, and then hit it based off of your ability. If I take steroids, am I joining the major leagues tomorrow? Hell no. I still can't hit a baseball coming at my face at 90 miles per hour. What the Astros did was they came up with a system so that they could know what pitch was coming, and they made it very easy for them. And look at their home stats. They all batted like 400. It was ridiculous.
Well, look, I mean, there's been major league pitchers that said, if I could pitch against someone with steroids or someone that knows what's coming, I'd rather pitch someone with steroids. If I've got good enough stuff, it's just going to go right by you, right? And of course, there are players like Barry Bonds, who was he was a great talent before. But let's say a player like Josh Reddick or Marwin Gonzalez, are they actually as good as they've played? No, they just had great seasons. They're not that good of a player to begin with. Barry Bonds, for example, he was a great player to begin with, and steroids just enhanced that. But Marwin Gonzalez, I think he hit 300 in that 2017 season. He's not that good. He just had a great season because of, you could say because of the banging.
Yep. I agree with
that. So another move that is pretty decent is that the Angels have, well, it's not official yet, but the Angels look like they're about to acquire Jock Peterson. At least according to MLB trade rumors, the move is not yet.
And
Ross Stripling.
And Ross Stripling. Yes, you're right about
And
that.
I think that's the more important part, honestly. They need pitching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. I mean, that Angels team is weird, man. That Angels team has, I mean, now their outfield, I mean, just think about what that outfield is. That's Upton, Trout, and Peterson. That's a solid outfield.
Well, Goodwin's going to be on your bench, and Adele's going to come up halfway through the season.
Right. And, eventually Albert Pujols has to die or something, right? Maybe they can get
Yeah, that contract was an albatross. But LaStella is your first baseman, and he's pretty decent too.
Yeah. So
how many years left in that contract?
There's a few. I think it's like another 2 or 3 years.
Oh,
yeah.
my God.
Yeah, you gotta at some point. You gotta just cut ties. At some point,
that team, just offensively and defensively are elite. Andrelton Simmons. I was watching a clip on YouTube made by Foolish Baseball, really a great account, channel, and he says that Andrelton Simmons might be a Hall of Famer just based on his defense, similar to Ozzie Smith.
I would believe that.
He's ridiculous. Then you have a player who I think is a top 10 player in baseball, and Anthony Rendon. Right, and then you have a player who's also pretty good. He plays center field. He's already a Hall of Famer, if he could be, in Mike Trout. That team offensively is really good. They just need some pitching. I was surprised that they didn't make a bigger effort to get Kenta Maeda. I thought that he would fit pretty well.
Yeah.
I also thought that Peterson, I thought he would end up in Cleveland because they need some outfield power there. But it is what it is at this point. Ross Stripling is I don't know why the Dodgers did that. They're getting a player, Luis Rengifo, he was a pretty big prospect, but he doesn't really fit in anywhere with the Dodgers right now. I think the Angels won that trade by far.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, and the Angels got to keep doing some work, man. They really need to bolster that rotation because, man, they're just not going anywhere. It seems like they make pushes here and there, but those wheels are firmly stuck in the mud. They cannot go anywhere, especially in that division.
By Dylan Bundy?
No, I'm not.
Bundy, I think he has potential. I think it was a weird signing, but he's got the potential. So does Ohtani.
Ohtani's good. Yeah, I like Ohtani.
If he can perform, that's a big help. But still, they need a lot of help in the rotation over there.
Marcus, have you ever seen Terminator?
I have not actually. I have seen Schwarzenegger, but I've not seen Terminator.
All right, never mind, because this was
What happened?
We're treating you. We're pretty much treating you as tiebreaker today. So I'm trying to go back and think of.
I got you. Well, what I did hear was that the most recent one was not good. That's
oh yeah, that doesn't count.
Oh no, it was terrible.
Anything as much as I hate Terminator 3, I'm willing to include it. So I'm willing to say that it's a trilogy. Anything after that, Salvation, Genesis, this dumb bullshit one. I think it's actually called Terminator Dumb Bullshit One. I think it is. Yeah. They don't count.
In theaters now.
Yeah. In theaters now. Terminator Dumb Bullshit. Fuck you. You'll watch it anyway.
Didn't you see Air Force One for the first time like last week, Marcus, or something?
Yeah, I did.
I don't even think I've seen Air Force One.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm getting a new co-host.
Come on, man. Not everyone's like a movie guy like you. You watch didn't you tell me you have thousands of movies?
I own about 2,500, yes.
So what the fuck, man? You obviously watch more movies than I do.
Yep. Okay, I think we're about done. This is 27 Down, the perfect podcast for the perfect game. Thanks for coming on, Marcus. Thank you, CJ.
Thank you for having me. Fun. All right, thank you so much. All the best.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Evan.